Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Cup of Data, part of DataDreamin. We are going to be having our first ever release jam for winter 22. We have these 4 illustrious product managers joining us today. You can find all of their Twitter handles there, except for Jim, if you want to reach out to them on social. But we do have joining us today, Jim Pan on Smart Transformations, Thom on Tableau CRM plus Slack, Bharadwaj Tanikella on Einstein Discovery, and Mengel on Dashboards and Lightning Web Components. Your hosts today are myself and Manny Omide, and we're really excited for this first ever release jam. Now to get to the rules. Each product manager has 4 minutes to demo their coolest features for winter 22. They cannot use any slides, and there can only be one winner, which will be chosen by you, our audience. And before we get going, we just wanted to go over our forward-looking statement. We know these items are in winter 22, but please don't make any purchasing decisions based off of what you see today.
So first up, we have Ed. And Ed Mengel, he is a new face of DataDreamin. We're grateful to have him competing. In this demo, we'll get to see the possibilities with dashboards and Lightning Web Components. So without any further ado, Ed, take it away.
All right, let me share my screen. I have here a dashboard, you, me, and LWC, and we're going to answer the question of what could you do if you could add your own code to the dashboard. And the only thing better than writing code is not writing code or writing less code. So now you can write this purple block and extend the dashboard with your own widgets. And there's tons of things you can connect to pass information from the data, from the dashboard to your widget. What do you get when you put all this together? Unlimited power, absolutely unlimited power. So let me show you a couple things that we've built, and we're open sourcing this so you can see the code. So here is a Gantt chart visualization. We've got a custom radio button. I have a hierarchy widget with a product hierarchy. I have a custom integration with chart.js. I have a hierarchy widget for a organizational hierarchy, role hierarchy. We even have a graph visualization, so you can see how everything ties together. So you can do widgets and you can do selectors, but that's not it. That's not all. We can also observe dashboard behavior and things that are going on. So here's an example of a breadcrumb widget. If you've got too many filters, this is a way I can just read the dashboard state and see that. Even if I have filters spread out, maybe they're on multiple pages, and I can just select and click and I can see those breadcrumbs. Not only that, I can also click on steps and I can have the selection right here. So you can kind of get this overview. But the great thing about this is I can just drop it into any dashboard and it just works. I don't have to rewrite the code at all if I drop it into a different dashboard. The next one is select and navigate. This is a feature I've always wanted. I'm going to change the way this dashboard works. I've got 2 pages. So let's say I click on education. Now, as soon as I select, my widget is listening for that, and it's going to navigate me to a details page about that. I also can provide a back button, so you can go back to the home page. And now let's say I click on not-for-profit and I can kind of go there. So I can create this navigation experience. And again, I can just drop this in and attach it to the step, and it will work in any dashboard. And I only really needed 2 pages, whereas before you may need many, many, many pages. So let's go to one more. This one is really one of my favorites. I did this with the SDK. It took so many lines of code, even stealing. But now I can just drop this play button on and I can attach it to a step, and it's going to iterate over the step. So look, Mom, no hands. I can now play you a story about what's going on in this miniature golf game where we're fighting on the links, fighting for domination, really riveting game until the windmill, destroys your hopes and dreams. So you can use this to play, but that's not all. One more thing, you may remember that Tableau, Core Tableau, has their own LWC. Now you can bring in that LWC using this framework and show Tableau content using the Tableau CRM as your container. And not only that, you can't just do a static dashboard. Look, I can create experiences of multiple dashboards. Like I can create this accordion panel where I can see multiple dashboards, do a breakdown of the economy. I can look at e-commerce from Tableau Public. You can do whatever you want to kind of pull things in. It's one analytics, one experience, multiple tools, walking down the yellow brick road of progress, holding hands, and just creating killer stuff. So thank you very much for your time. I'm excited to see what you build with this, and I will hand it back. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Ed. We, yeah, round of applause all around. Just a few questions. Can I put these components on the app exchange?
Yes, these are just LWC. There's just a little bit of an extra metadata tag on it, but they will work just like regular LWC. So you will be able to put these on the app exchange.
Okay. And how does one enable this in their org?
It is in settings. So if your org has winter, you got to wait for the winter release. But once you do, go into analytics settings, and there's a switch, Lightning Web Components and Dashboards. Just turn that on. It is beta as of winter release.
Okay. And when does it go GA?
Unsure yet, safe harbor. We're going to try for spring, but I would say it's 50-50. It might be spring, might be summer release.
Cool. And how can one download some examples?
I've got a bit.ly link, bit.ly bit.ly slash TCRM LWC.
Okay, if somebody could pop that in the chat, please. Could you just repeat that?
Yes,
Okay,
bit.ly slash TCRM LWC.
Okay. And does the user need both Tableau and Tableau CRM license to see Tableau dashboards in Tableau CRM?
Depends on how you set up. I mean, what I used was Tableau Public, so you don't need any. If you're just pulling something from Tableau Public, it just works. But yes, if your users or you're kind of setting up Salesforce, the identity provider, and using that shared identity, then yes, you would need the user that has to be able to view both products.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that, Ed. I'm sure everybody was quite blown away by that demo. I will hand over to Jody now.
Thanks, Manny. Next up, there's a face that we know. He's our resident Einstein Discovery expert. And Bharadwaj is here back for another cup of data. And he wants to show us the latest and greatest with Einstein Discovery. So in the last release, Salesforce Data Pipelines was released, and they're updating the user experience in this release to show new connections page beta and a quick flow on how to pull data from CRM, transform, and push back into the core data model. So before we get started, are you ready?
Ready as I can be after Ed's amazing demo.
All right, your 4 minutes starts now.
Awesome. So thanks a lot, Ed. That was amazing. So why don't we add intelligence to our existing experience? So what we know so far before Winter 22 is that Einstein Discovery can work on case classification, if the case is going to be closed or not, and what is the time for a case to close. So what if I told you that there's a possibility that you can understand what the case status might be, right? So Einstein Discovery is introducing this all new pilot for multi-class classification, where you can try to not just answer true or false questions or number questions, but also try to understand like multi-label questions, right? So what is the case going to end up being? So let's get into it. So I'm just going to look at my Salesforce case data. I'll create a story just like anything else. And I'm going to say, you know what? I want to understand what the status might be at the end of this case. So I'm just going to create set of options, go ahead to manual. And as you can see, it's the same thing. Like what the status might be, what is it, if it's going to be closed, if it's going to be prospecting, what the status might be, what the age, everything is similar. And not just that, what we also introduced is we're trying to use the description field. So the description field is it's a text column. So what happens is we used to drop that column because it was just too much to handle. But now in Winter 22, you can apply sentiment analysis, something which we can do in smart transforms already. You can include that as part of our existing analysis itself. You can apply that, create a story. And while that's doing it, I'm just going to wait until while that story is created, I've already created the story. So in this case, this is your multi-class classification story. It's completely different than the bar charts which you used to see in your binary classification or regression story. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to give you the insights of how your data set can help you understand what the status of that case might be, right? Predictions will work the same. The models do work the same, and then you can essentially deploy it and get multi-class predictions across your organization. Also, going with the same theme of embedding code into your organization, what I wanted to show you is I have this Python notebook, right? It's super convoluted. What it is it's creating a machine learning model using TensorFlow, right? I know my team has, has used Einstein Discovery, but I want to make sure that I can use it on my own data, my external data, using TensorFlow models. So how can we operationalize this particular model inside Salesforce, right? So the way you could do that is with Bring Your Own Model. So what we did is we introduced Bring Your Own Model, and it's currently it's going to be GA in winter 22, where once you have this model, which you've created using this code, I'll also share this with you guys if you are interested. This is just looking at opportunity time to close, just giving you an example, and it has the adequate, It has the adequate data requirements which it has, and it has the data processing which it requires. And then what it can do is, once we have that information, we can just go into your data, your model manager. And once we go into the model manager, you can upload that model. And once you upload that model, it's very easy for you to deploy it and operationalize that external model within your Salesforce instance. I'm not going to go into the details about this, but then one final thing which I do want to show you is Einstein Discovery also expanded its capabilities to support live data sets. So in this case, live data sets are, so you can have a Snowflake connection, a live connection to Snowflake, where you can query your data directly, right? In this case, this live data set is connected to one of my tables on Snowflake. Winter 22, we're introducing an all new pilot, which allows you to create a story on these live data sets, right? Again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to expand our capabilities of embedding AI in different areas. And that's what Winter 22 is bringing with Einstein Discovery.
And your 4 minutes is up. Thank you for that awesome demo. So as we switch presenters, we have a couple of questions for you, if that's okay. What are some of the main differences between TCRM and SDP?
SDP?
Do I have the wrong questions?
Or CDP?
SDP.
That's Salesforce data pipelines.
Gotcha. So I mean, the thing is, so Salesforce data pipelines is, Salesforce data pipelines and TCRM are kind of, I think, Jim can add more light to this one, but at the end of the day, Salesforce data pipelines and TCRM are built with the same infrastructure of making sure that like the data infrastructure of bringing in data from different places, doing the transformation, and the ETL pipeline is the same thing. Salesforce data pipeline is something which we are using to power other services across Salesforce. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, both TCRM and SDP is powered by the same infrastructure when it comes to our existing data infrastructure, which we have for TCRM. Okay. Jim, and any additional thoughts on that?
Oh, no, absolutely it. You hit it right on the head. It's purpose-built SKUs specifically focused on really the way to expand TCRM usage, on a go-forward basis. But you don't really need them both, for example. And yeah, you get all of the advantage of TCRM capabilities, including all the smart transforms. So that's definitely yeah, SDP will be great.
We have another question too. Is NLP in your roadmap?
So we do have some NLP solutions when it comes to, I mean, depends on the thing, right? Like we're using NLP as the transforms, right? Like we're doing the sentiment analysis, we're introducing clustering, and there's a lot of roadmap of introducing unstructured text and handling unstructured text. So it is, but at the same time, I do want to understand if there's a specific use case which they want to solve, right? Like trying to understand like if it's a completely NLP model which they want to deploy. And the other thing which we are also working on is NLG, right? Natural language generation. One of the things which we want to improve on is the whole analytic or the insights, right? The narrative which we generate. So we want to make it more understandable, more human readable. So that's something which we're also working on at this point in time.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that great demo. I am going to hand it back over to Manny.
Thank you, Jody. And next up, we have Jim Pan. He's back for another couple of data. Those who attended our previous one on smart transformations will remember Jim. And he's back. He's responsible for delivering smart transformations in the next-gen data prep. And he has some new functions to show us. So Jim, are you ready?
I am trying to show my screen. Give me 1 second. I believe in a recent Apple update. You know what? Maybe I am not ready at this point because it looks like I need to grant some access. Give me 1 second. Apologies, folks.
In the meantime, there's a couple of questions coming in, so we'll give Jim, I guess, a minute to work on that. And anybody's free to answer this. Does the roadmap include any possibilities of bringing TCRM data sets, recipes into Tableau prep for use in Tableau core? If anybody can answer that. If not, we can parking lot it.
I believe they have an export Tableau data set that they're working on. I'm not sure the exact timeline, but that you will be able to kind of use an output node and send data to Tableau.
Yeah, and then there's also a way of connecting the hyper database, which Tableau uses within the TCRM context. Like it's something which we are, we want to get to one day, but the thing is, like, we're making small steps towards it.
Hi, folks, I'm back. Are we good to go?
Okay, let us know when you're ready.
Do you guys see my my screen now?
We can.
Yes.
Is it the analytics homepage, studio homepage? Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much. My name is Jim Pan. I'm a product manager at the data platform in analytics and TCRM, and I'm very excited to talk about the smart transforms. So for those of you that have been here before, I've been using it, you know that the recipes come with smart transforms, and we talked about clustering in the last couple of data. For those of you that are new to it, though, I want to give you a quick introduction. So here's a recipe that I have built using accounts, opportunity to line item, and product to, so that the idea here is to use this data that I have to create some sort of stats that I care about, such as win rate, such as maybe account lifetime value, for example, and so on. And then using those stats to be able to cluster the accounts so that I can create new customer account segments. Okay, and the way I would do that is very normally using aggregation, filter, and transforms in order to calculate those stats, and then off we go to the the clustering transform. Now, what that looks like here is this. Let me give you a quick overview for those that are seeing for the very first time. Smart transforms include detect sentiment, predict missing values, time series forecasting, and clustering capability. And so what I have done is already added a clustering transform right here. And here we are. Using the data that's in there, we apply a clustering model, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. And you can pick the number of clusters. And as of winter 22, we introduced the ability to detect optimal cluster count automatically. So if you were to choose that, you can always guide it. You can get rid of this number. But if you were to choose a number, then we will detect a range around the number you've specified so that we can find what the optimal cluster count is while still putting you in the driver's seat. Now, in order to create these clusters, you obviously need those stats. And then this is what you will be using to figure out how you can group your data together. In terms of the algorithm that we use k-means algorithm. For those of you that are familiar with it, it's a very standard approach to clustering, and it works great for large data volumes. There are a lot of different approaches, but keeping in mind that here we're really focused on large data volume, 2 billion rows, and possibly more in the future. So performance is super important, and this is why we're there. But this is not to say that we will not support new algorithms in the future. This is why you see that here. We also introduced in winter 22 new automated measure scaling. So if you wanted to scale measures on a go-forward basis, you can. And then you can also, in fact, create new columns from those scaled measures as well. Okay, so what does that really mean? Sure, you run clustering, and sure, we come up with this new clustering of this cluster column. But what does that really mean? What that really means is that now you have the ability to compare and contrast your account segmentations, be able to see exactly how they behave across across the different clusters and behaviors, and then from there on, you can see the purchase preferences, the products that each cluster has a preference to, and of course, use that as a way to conduct white space analysis to look for the products that a particular account may be more apt to buy, simply based on the purchase pattern behaviors that you've seen before. So this is really great, and we've done this in a deep dive session previously. And so, oh, 1 second. Hello. Oh, it's my wife. She says that this dashboard is too complex. Nobody's going to have time to build it. What do we do about it? Luckily, we thought about it, and we decided that in Winter 22, this would be a good idea to use an app. What if we have all that built out for you? If you start typing segmentation and like, they just create the app for you, and then so that you can just go ahead. You don't have to think about it too much. It's already available for you, built right out exactly the way you just saw it, and hopefully better, because we're actually in the process of revamping these dashboards to make them much more intuitive and much more useful, and a lot prettier. And so that is upcoming probably in a couple of weeks. And then now you don't even have to do the work. It's not even a project for you to put these together anymore. A couple of clicks and you can be up and running really quickly.
Your 4 minutes is done.
Oh, all right.
Even with your phone call in the middle.
All right.
Thanks for that, Jim. I'm sure you had everyone going with that phone call there. Just a few questions coming in. First of all, how do I learn more about testing and how it works?
Oh, so we actually have a couple of blogs. There's a deep dive blog specifically on Salesforce Blogger on exactly what runs behind the scene. For those of you that are wondering, yeah, it's clustering and everything, but what does the model look like? How does it use? How does it destroy? And you want to know more about the life cycle of how we handle all of that, especially with k-means. For those that are familiar with it, you would know that initializing each clustering over each time you're clustering the data, initializing them properly with the appropriate centroids is going to be key for a consistent outcome run over run. And so the deep dive blog on Salesforce Blogger will show you exactly how we achieve that smart initialization. And there's also a build along blog. It might be a little bit older, but you might not need it anymore now that we have the app that's coming in Winter 22. Now, for those of you that are trying it out in your sandbox right now, you're like, I'm going to go try it right now. You might not see that app. It will be coming out in a couple of weeks. We're just putting some finishing touches on the dashboard.
Cool, thank you. And can we apply clustering on any data types?
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything that you can pipe through it. The data types itself, you're going to, right now we're limited to measures specifically, so you can't cluster on date. We don't do text clustering at this point. The rationale for that is that I think over time, one thing that we've noticed is that many customers imagine text clustering differently. One person might be looking for text clustering, for example, on categorical data, while another customer is looking to really cluster based on similarities across unstructured text, and so on and so forth. So we're trying to find a couple of different ways to be able to bring that capability to the market and allow customers to be able to use it appropriately in the situation, in the context that they're trying to use and solving the problem they need to solve. So that's what we're still working through. In the future, we do intend to introduce that capability. For now, it's measures only.
Okay, thanks for that. And lastly, do you have, or can you provide any examples of real world use cases for clustering? That's
an interesting point. I specifically focus on account segmentations as part of the clustering example and in the app, but I have seen one of our customers using clustering as a way to identify product bundling. And the way they're doing it is they're clustering, instead of on accounts based on stats from opportunities, they were clustering on opportunities using stats from products to determine what product bundling has the most likelihood of winning, for example, on the opportunity and the impact of that. And as a result, to say, you know, when product A is introduced by itself, it's less likely to win. But product A, when you introduce product A and product B together, they're much likelier. The win rate could, for example, double or triple. And then therefore, as a recommendation to say, you know what, that's a sales strategy tactic on a go forward basis. Whenever product A comes in, make sure we pitch product B together and bundle that. And so these are some of the, that's another way I've seen it. And I know some of my customers are exploring using clustering in the service context as a way to identify attrition risks and so on. So there are, I think, a lot of customers that are exploring things, moving into here. And the best part, though, about doing this in data prep recipes, point and click, drag and drop, and there's no separate data pipeline to manage, no data going to a third-party system, no API integration needed, and you don't need to worry about when your cluster guy is out of office for a couple of weeks, and then you can't run any clustering, for example.
Gotcha. Just scanning through the chat quickly. Everybody still seems to be laughing about the phone call, but I've got one more question here. Any plans to implement features to extract meaning from text data beyond sentiment analysis? Something
Absolutely.
like a classification model.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, that's a big part of our future roadmap. I'd love to know more about it, but let me give you a sneak preview. And then, you know what? If you could give me some feedback on maybe on Data Tribe or anywhere about some of these things, that'll be great. One of the things that we're actively exploring right now, as simple as it is, keyword detection. What if we have ability to take your unstructured text and identify the most important keywords? That'd be great. What if we can then use if you could guide it with your own data to even further improve on that keyword detection, to say, you know, detect specific keywords that I care about. Maybe it's COVID-19, or maybe it's one of the products that you're selling. Whatever that might be. These are things that we are actively exploring right now as a future transform for smart transforms.
Okay, I just double checking. I think that is all of the questions. So I'm sure everybody will join me in thanking Jim for that demo. Thank you, Jim. And I'm going to pass back over to Jody.
Thanks, Manny. Last but not least, a new face here at DataDreamin. And in case you haven't heard, there was an acquisition where Salesforce bought Slack. And thankfully, we have Dylan here. He is the man in charge of bringing Tableau CRM and Slack together. And he's going to be showing us some cool new features. So upcoming in Tableau CRM app for Slack pilot, there'll be a closed customer pilot in winter 22. So definitely reach out to your AE if you're interested in learning more. But with that, just those tiny bits of information, I'm going to hand it over to Dylan to wow us with Slack and TCRM.
Excellent. Thanks, Jody. Hi, everyone. Dylan Thom, product manager on Tableau CRM, and focusing on this integration with Slack. So right now, I'm going to be a sales manager. And so obviously, I'm in Salesforce. Check on my homepage, and I've already got this awesome embedded sales analytics dashboard with my key metrics. Really cool, although don't pay too much attention to these metrics because it's a test environment, and we'd be delivering really quickly on our sales cycles. But anyway, so to be transparent, you know, I spend a fair amount of time in Salesforce, but I spend way more time in Slack. I'm here all the time. So the cool thing now is that there is a Tableau CRM Slack app. And what it's done, once I've connected with my org, I am able to see, you know, my recents and my favorited dashboards, and I have them here. I could, you know, link over to Salesforce to see them, but, you know, I'm really busy and I'm in my flow of work in Slack. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to log into Salesforce and go to the studio and see the dashboard. So right from here, I'm able to view a snapshot of this dashboard. And so what we've got is a new headless browser service that is running in Hyperforce, which is Salesforce's public cloud. And what it's doing is I just got a message. So what it's done is run that dashboard let's go and see what my new message is. Run that dashboard as me, as my user with my sharing permissions and a default view, and returning it as an image. So right here in Slack, I can get a quick preview of my metrics and applied as my user. So the other cool, there's this headless browser service has got so many exciting opportunities for us in addition to just providing me a snapshot in the flow here. So here, I can also share. So I've got a basic dashboard, IE dashboard, and I can share this. And the options that we've got are I can share it to my sales channel and specific users, and then include without an image preview. And now what that's going to do is it's going to send an email, share it to this channel with the metadata, and that's kind of come in here. And as the recipient, I can go and click on view snapshot, and now that's going to run it as me. So I'm getting the metadata of the dashboard and some details about it, but I don't want to share it with the preview. But if I did share it with a preview, it would look like this. And so everyone would get to see what I saw when it ran that dashboard. So then it comes, and so everyone will get the same view. And what's really exciting too then is I can go and schedule. For example, let me go back to my home here, and I want everyone to get this incredible sales performance dashboard on a scheduled basis. And so what that's going to do is I can pick the frequency, make that weekly, for example, pick my days that I want that to go. And now the great thing is I can send this to a private or public channel or specific users, and they're going to be able to now receive this scheduled dashboard on this basis. It's going to run on the headless browser service, take a snapshot and return the image. And the great thing here is also we're working on a accessible PDF download as well. So all the tabular data in that dashboard will also be included in that PDF too. So yeah, I can go and send that off. And now, I've got with Tableau CRM and with Slack, these insights are so much more accessible. There's collaboration around them and actionable as well.
Great, thank you. You were right at time.
Perfect.
It's almost like you might have practiced it.
I did once or twice.
All right, great. There's a couple of questions for you here. So full dashboard subscriptions are pretty cool, but what other kinds of notifications are you planning for the app?
Right. So with Tableau CRM, you do have your notifications that are threshold based. And so we're also having those routed. So within Slack, so what we'll have is your settings here, and it will show up all the notifications that you have, your personal ones, and you'll be able to, I don't have any set up for this org, but I'll be able to manage those and determine which channel I want those to go to. I could just keep them coming to myself in Slack, but have those when those thresholds hit. And then we're also working on a watch list digest for anyone who's set up Tableau CRM watch list, which is really cool because it snapshots that metric that you're interested every single day. And so we're going to get all your metric snapshots and then deliver that to you in Slack as a daily digest as well.
Very cool. Just as a reminder, this is a closed pilot. So Dylan, do you have any quick tips on how to get involved?
Yeah, definitely reach out to your AE, because what happens is your AE will create a nomination, then we'll meet, we'll go through, make sure, the requirements. It's going to be a little, so we've got pilots that are going out for Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, very focused on various use cases like swarming and deal room creation, things like that. So we're all built on the same infrastructure, so we've been allowed to slowly roll this out over the next few months with customers like yourselves. So definitely reach out to AE, get in the nomination, and we're excited to work with you to find out what your use cases will be. I think there's a lot of power on this headless browser service that we've created that is also beyond within Slack, because you can only see images, but also outside of that as well.
Awesome. And are full dashboard subscriptions also coming to email?
Yeah, so we're going to be first getting it in Slack. So I know that a lot of customers, especially on the Idea Exchange, have been asking for a full dashboard, but you know what that takes is a server that can run the dashboard as you and then snapshot it. And so that's what we've got now in Hyperforce, and we're going to be first delivering that in Slack, and then we'll bring that to email subscriptions, and then also so you can build it into your automation as well. So it's obviously API first, so exposed within Flow Builder and Process Builder. So if you've got, Apex Core where you want to send it to Microsoft Teams, or you want to send it to email or whatever in your flows, you'll be able to configure that.
Perfect. I don't think we're supposed to use email anymore. I think that was the big Slack notification.
Yes, that's why it's coming out first in Slack. Yes.
So what else is on the roadmap for TCRM and Slack together?
Right. So I'm not sure if everyone's seen our Autonomous Insights, and I know there was a blog post on this, and it's been relabeled and renamed, Ask Data for Salesforce. And so we want to have the natural language, being able to natural language query within here as well. So we're working on that right now, which is really exciting. And then the other thing is we're working, there's a thing, you've seen the Lightning Web component, but there's also Lightning Web runtime. And we're having conversations with Slack about that, integrating that as well.
Great. We have a bunch of questions. This Slack stuff seems to be pretty popular. So let's see here. I think you had to install the TCRM within Slack, right? I see it right there, the app.
Yeah, so what happens is your Slack admin will need to approve the app, and then once it's one of the approved apps, when you go and add it, you'll see it here, and then you'll be able to click on it. For the pilot, obviously we've got all of this behind user perms and things like that. But and then the thing is, once I've got the app installed, and it looks like it's my demo environment's finally given up on me, but once I've got that installed, I am able to share those snapshots or set those subscriptions to go to various channels or users that don't have Tableau CRM, so they can get those images too. Okay,
awesome. Wow, you all have a lot of questions for Dylan. The shiny new toy, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible to pin some of these intelligently so it always pins the latest to a channel?
Yeah, there is pinning to what Slack kind of has within the channels where you can bookmark items. And what we've also, what we're working on too, which is I think one of the key things with sharing is is link unfurling too. But yeah, you can bookmark, and we'll have the ability to bookmark the assets like a dashboard. And the one thing I forgot to add, sorry, when I'm on here, it doesn't show up here yet, but these are Tableau CRM dashboards. We also have lenses and Lightning and operational dashboards as well from Salesforce. So you'll be able to get previews of those too. So it's a unified analytics coming through. And then obviously in the future, once we can get Tableau assets in, those will be, we'll be able to get all of them together.
That's a great point about being able to see the dashboards there. Is there an ideal dashboard size? Like, we have like desktop and mobile, like, is there going to be like a Slack dashboard size or?
Yeah, well, I mean, when we're taking the snapshots of these, you can kind of see like the ones that I've got when I've got returned here. These are not optimized dashboards. These are actually coming from our templates. And so they actually look pretty good, but the bigger it is, the more you're going to have to zoom into it. So yeah, I think that's a really great question. It would be good to have a layout that's slightly, that fits a little bit better for sort of a page layout of your dashboards, which you can obviously do when you create the dashboard and create another layout for it. And I'm working with Ed and Arthur from the dashboard team to also kind of look at in the dashboard builder, even having a specific layout that's more page layouts with the so.
Good stuff. any Slack feature differences between TCRM and Tableau?
Yeah, yes. So if for those of you who know or have seen the announcements, there's a Tableau app too. So this one, although it says test, there will be Tableau CRM and there's going to be Tableau. Tableau is separate at the moment because they have a completely different infrastructure and notification framework and things like that. Their first app, which just went out last week, it allows you to do similar that data-driven alerts, where if you've set a threshold on a dashboard, it will send it to as a message to the app that you've installed. And then there are also comments and share notifications. So there's 3 sets of notifications that come out with the very first version, which just came out, which is really exciting. Generally accessible.
Great. I'm going to probably do just a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 more questions, because we have a lot for you. So maybe we can follow those up on
Yeah,
Twitter
I
and
can
get some
follow up
answers out.
offline. I can follow up async, and we could also do it on Slack. So
we have a Slack channel for that where I'm posting the questions.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's a good channel. We could spend like the next hour just asking Dylan questions, and I'm not sure everybody wants to hang out for an hour for that. They want to know who the winner is. Any plans to make the dashboards interactive within Slack instead of just images?
Yeah, so I kind of hinted about that, and I don't want to, obviously this is a safe harbor, and but yes, so that was the hint I gave at Lightning Web Runtime, and it's really working with Slack and talking about how Slack is very focused on the thin work, and which means that it's good to get snapshots, it's good to get and then collaborate around those and keep the work moving, whereas analysis. So this is where we're kind of working on the philosophy there. But yeah, we definitely are interested in kind of similar to Quip, where you have a Lightning Web, where you have a live app enabled within a Quip document. We're looking at that opportunity as well on our roadmap.
Awesome. Love all of this. And there's a ton more questions for Dylan. So definitely go into Slack. He's going to answer those in Slack because we could be here all day. And I think everybody along with me is definitely interested in showing or actually voting to figure out who's the winner. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to put up a poll inside of Zoom. So you can vote for your favorite demo today. Remember, you can only vote once. So make sure you think about which demo was your favorite. Think back. I know it seemed like so long ago, but which of these wonderful product managers had the best Winter 22 features that you want to see more of? So the poll is up. I'm starting the timer for timing.
Well, cool. Thanks to all 4 of you. There were 4 very exciting, very interesting, very captivating demos. But unfortunately, as the cliche goes, there can only be one winner. And so without further ado, one of these days, we're going to get really clever and add some drum roll sound effects. But for now, I'm just going to go like this and reveal that the winner of today's release jam is, congrats, Jim. Any words?
Nice.
Well, thank you very much, guys. That was fun, and I had a great time. And I love to hear more about your ideas for smart transforms. While I'm at it, the last word. I posted a poll on the cup of, I guess, the release jam in the cup of data release jam channel on Data Tribe, whether you're interested in anomaly detection versus keyword or intent detection. And if you could go and vote there, let me know what's important to you. That would be really appreciated.
Cool. Thank you there, Jim.